Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. To my immediate right is Michael Kearney. He's the President and CEO of Mullen and Lonigan, the firm that we've engaged to do our housing consultancy work so that we can apply again this year to PHFA for the tax credits. And to my extreme right, I think you all know Robert Hoffman, who's the principal architect for Beers and Hoffman, and that firm was engaged, quite some time ago to do all the design work for the Willow Terrace project. Again, we were here last year, and this is about the preservation and rehabilitation of Willow Terrace, which has served this community. It'll be in May of 2016, 44 years to provide affordable housing for very much lesser incomed elders here in Lebanon County. Last year, some of my memory of this particular meeting, I would just like to share with you a couple of things. The low-income housing tax credit program is very competitive. This year, PHFA received about 140 letters from developers like Community Homes that they wanted to apply for tax credits so that they could do their developments. The fact is that PHFA will probably be able to fund someplace between 35 and 37 of those projects. And so community support, whether it be financial support or other types of encouragement, are very critical when a property goes before PHFA or a development project in terms of the competition. It is extreme. And in this country, tax credits are about the only way to develop affordable housing anymore of any consequence. The property's another year older. It still has issues with aging major systems, and just as an example, we had to disassociate ourselves with our elevator maintenance company who installed the original elevators this year because they just couldn't continue to maintain them, and we hired a new company to do that. But both those companies were very clear when they discussed it with me, Charlie, we're really getting to the point where we just cannot provide the parts and the expertise to be able to continue to maintain your elevators. New department, resident services department, which is to provide supportive services for our elderly people. And we hired a person in September of this year who has a lot of experience in providing that kind of work for the type of property Willow Terrace is here in central Pennsylvania, about 25 years of experience. Mary tells me that of all of our particular properties, the need for supportive services is most critical at Willow Terrace, which kind of makes some sense. It's our oldest property. It's the property where, on average, our folks have less income than any of our other properties. The scope of work-wise, we really haven't changed anything other than that, and I would just kind of like to stop there and say, so the reason that we're back again this year is your support would be very instrumental in us successfully applying and being under construction maybe this time next year. We didn't make it last year. And I think Mr. Kearney could probably tell you that this is pretty normal here in the state of Pennsylvania, that you go before PHFA multiple times before ultimately you're funded. We are asking, as we did last year, for support from the Affordable Housing Fund in the amount of $500,000. We understand it's a loan, and we would ask that the loan be non-performing during the initial term of the project. So with that, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I feel like we've been here before, and I just stop and ask if there are questions that you would have for any of us.
Substantially same project, same outline, same budget, basically, so I don't have any particular questions.
Just a comment
Sure.
for me. I just want to say thank you for your application. It is very thorough, it is very professional, and every time I had a question, I could find the answer in here, so kudos. I think it was well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else to add, or are we good? John?
I would just add one thing. Did PHFA give you any rationale for not granting you the loan or tax credits? Is it just simply competitive?
Well, certainly competitiveness is a big issue, and frankly, for the preservation type projects which Willow Terrace represents, many of those went to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and not out here in central Pennsylvania, you know, no duh, right? There was that issue. The other issue was last year, we were attempting to apply for some funding through the Federal Home Loan Bank, but those fundings are exactly 6 months off of cycle of PHFAs, and because we didn't have the money in hand, and because Federal Home Loan Bank really doesn't want to commit to that unless we have the tax credits. So it's kind of the chicken or egg scenario. We have increased our ask from the state this year. Last year we didn't ask for Penn Homes money. This year we're asking for $750,000 out of that Penn Homes fund. So we hope to improve it that way. But basically that one issue was the principal driver. I mean, we scored well, to answer your question, but we just didn't score well enough to have been funded the first go around, and frankly, we almost anticipated that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, and one other though, and I do kind of recall going through all this last year, but the specific project cost, do you have an estimate on that?
Construction cost-wise are almost at $8 million. All right, and then there are other costs on top of that, but construction costs are about $8 million.
It's 100 units, no net gain of units, it's just same.
Correct.
Basically, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any projects on the horizon for additional housing, community homes?
Well, and as a matter of fact, I took a break from the strategic retreat for community homes that is meeting right now to be here today, and that is definitely on the list. I mean, we are looking as far out as 2021 at things that we would like to do in terms of expanding our mission.
Okay.
Can you tell me if you have any number of units that you're, looking to construct?
I can't at this time. One of the issues is the subject of handicapped accessible units. We think that's probably the most critical shortage that we have in the county at this point in time. But we're kind of throwing the doors open and having lots of conversation about that. I'm sorry I can't give you a specific number.
Can you give me an idea if you're looking only in the city or if you're also looking in the county?
No, we're looking in the county more than we are the city.
More county.
Jimmy, would we be considering this tomorrow?
Well, I was going to get to that before Charlie left. You're asking for a decision by the 22nd, but at the latest on the 4th. It's, now the meetings are either tomorrow or the 3rd, which the 3rd probably pinches you pretty hard to get things together. So.
The application is actually due March 4th.
Okay.
And we need time. HFA moved to an electronic submission this year.
Yep.
So it's new, and it's the state, so it's not going to go smooth. So, yeah, we definitely need it
So yes.
sooner the better.
Thank you, I'll take that as a yes, okay. All right, if there's nothing further, we thank you, and we'll
Take Willow Terrace at the corner of 8th and Willow, and are submitting an application to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, in which they would like to include a grant from the county, from the Affordable Housing Fund. They are asking for a grant of $500,000 from the fund toward their overall cost of rehabilitation of $13,980,776. The application deadline for both of these two PHFA is March 4th. In order to prepare these in time, they're asking that you take action as soon as you possibly can on it. And again, since they were in yesterday, it's all fresh in your mind. You had an opportunity to ask questions of them yesterday. So if we could go in that order, we'll start with community homes and their request for $500,000 for affordable housing, which would be a grant initially, let me just add this, a grant initially, but then turn into a loan, a non-performing loan, so essentially a non-interest-free loan that they would pay back once the project is completed and their revenues on the units are flowing.
And this is the same basic application that was presented last year.
Yep, theirs, I believe, is identical. Maybe the cost is a little bit more just to adjust for construction costs, yeah, but otherwise their request is the same, yes.
All right.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve the community homes application and request for affordable housing money. Any comment or question?
I'd like to just reiterate, I know John was here yesterday, but Gordon wasn't, that I was really impressed with their application. It was very detailed, and I think it'll prolong the life of this 100-unit facility for Lebanon County residents for a long time to come.
Any other comment? All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? So moved.
Okay, and the